Daniel here for Tabletop for One. Please join me at the table as I teach and play through Applejack. And I thank you for joining me for this tutorial and solo playthrough of Applejack by Rosenburg and Stronghold games. This is one of the latest tile laying games by Rosenburg, and it's been one that I've been looking forward to ever since I've seen it. And I didn't plan on doing a playthrough for it right away, but while the rules are fresh in my mind after I've played it a few times, I'd like to go ahead and show you how it plays. So we'll go straight into setup. Now for the solo mode, you're going to need one of your orchards here. And then you also have the harvest board here, and we'll set it up like this. Now I just wanted to say as a disclaimer, this is my own copy that I purchased. You'll need a variety of point tokens here. You can set these aside, and then you're going to give yourself 14 of them. You'll take the die here and turn it to 1 and place it in this spot here. This is the starting spot. It shows the one player symbol here, but this is the starting spot here. And then you're going to take your tiles and you're going to be drawing tiles here. Now this canvas bag actually came from a different Rosenburg game, Ottawa, but I decided to use it for this game instead. You'll place one of the tiles here on the harvest board. And then you're going to populate around the harvest board in each of these indented areas here. You'll put 2 tiles in each of those places. And so that is the complete setup. It's fairly straightforward, and we're ready to go into the rules here. Now in Applejack, you're going to be filling out your board here. You'll have a complete board by the end of the game. You'll be choosing tiles from the various places on the harvest board, adding them to your board. You have to pay for them, but when you place them, you might get some honey and some bonuses that way. On this path here that we follow, there are various fruits here that you will encounter, and when that happens, we will be doing what is called a harvest. The overall goal of the game is to get 65 points or better. Now the way the turn works is you're going to be choosing a tile from one of the harvest spots that's next to your die. So the die is right here currently, so it can choose from one of these 2 sets here. You'll take 1 tile only. You'll pay the cost on the tile as shown by one of the symbols here. So this one costs 6 here, whereas this one here is going to cost you 10 to place it. And then you're going to choose a place on your board to place it. Now tiles can be placed anywhere on the board. They don't have to be adjacent to each other. And you can rotate them however you'd like. Now when you place tiles on the board, if at any time you match up the honey symbols like so, then you will receive the lower of the 2 numbers that are matched up. So in this case here, we have a 6 and a 9. So if I match these up here, I would receive 6 honey. If you match up multiple spots at the same time, let's say this was how it was placed. I placed this one here in the middle. Then I would gain 5 honey here and 6 honey here. If at any time you are taking a tile and you do not want to pay for that tile, you can flip it over to its pasture side here with the sheep and place it anywhere on the board, and you'll gain 2 honey instead. And so after you've placed your tile and collected any honey reward that you might have got, you'll move the die 1 space clockwise, and then you'll start the next turn. Now if you move to this center spot here, you'll gain as much honey as shown here, and if there's only 1 tile here, you'll immediately draw a tile and place it in one of these spots here, and then you'll choose whether to buy one of those tiles or to draw one from the bag. This spot here you can only take from this area or the bag. Now when a harvest occurs, see this one here has the brown fruit here. When the harvest occurs, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be looking at your areas of tiles on your board. And if you have connecting tiles, like let's say these 2 were on the board like so, what you do is you count the total connecting tiles of that fruit type, and you gain that much honey minus the die value. So in this case here, we have 1, 2, 3 of that brown fruit, minus 1, so I would gain 2 honey. So you really want to try and build these large areas of the same kind of fruit. Now you'll notice that some of these tiles have multiple fruits, and that allows you to help grow multiple areas of different kinds of fruit. Now you'll notice that there are these flowers here on some of these tiles, like this one here has 3 flowers on it. In the normal game, the normal multiplayer game, you'll have these blossom scores happen, but that doesn't happen in the solo mode except during final scoring. You'll gain 1 point for each of those blossoms that you have in your field. Once the die has reached around here, it'll increase by 1. It tells you +1 here, so you'll increase it to 2, and you'll go around again, and then you'll increase it to 3. And once it's at 3 and in this space after you finish your turn, that is going to end the game. Now, one other rule I want to talk about is replenishing the tiles on the board here. You will never replenish the tiles automatically by just taking one tile. The time that you replenish tiles is if the die, when it moves, will only have one tile to choose from. So let's say these 3 were taken here, and so the die moves here. Now you only have one tile here and none here. So you only have one tile to choose from. If that's the case, then you would replenish. And what you actually do is you add one tile to every harvest space. So you'll be adding this total of 7 tiles around. And it doesn't matter that they go over the 2 that they originally start with. All right, and so we're ready to go here. So the first thing I get to do is choose one of these tiles here to play. And I really like the idea of getting the brown fruit, since we know we have a harvest right away with the brown fruit. So I think I will choose this one or this one. It's a tough choice. It has the green one too, and that harvest is not too far after that one. So maybe I should just go with this one here. So first you're going to pay the cost. Again, this one here is a 6 cost as denoted here. And so you pay the cost. There goes my 6. And then I'm going to place this. Now I can place it anywhere, but if I connect it to some of the honey spots here on the board, like this one here is 4, and then there's some others, 1, 4, 2, 3, and 2. If I connect it to one of those spots, then I'll score a honey bonus. So if I place it right here, again, you get the lower of the 2 numbers. So I have a 6 and a 4. I will gain 4 honey back into my supply here. And now we move this along here, and we're ready for the next turn. Now I do like this one here. It only costs 2, but it comes with 3 blossoms, which is good for final scoring. However, this one also has one of the brown fruits. But if I get this one, it's going to connect to this green one here, I think. So it might be worth it. Or maybe I should connect it on this side. I'm not sure. But I think I will use this one. It doesn't cost a lot, right? So if I pay 2 and then I place it in the connecting spot here for 2, I will gain that 2 back. Now I will need to connect these 2 green fruits together in order to gain that harvest when it comes to it. But I think that's a good placement. I'm going to go with that. So I gain my 2 honey back that I had paid for that one. All right, so now we move into this middle space here. First, we get as much honey as shown here. So I get 2 honey just for moving into that space. And then since there's only 1 tile here, I will draw 1 from the bag and add it to this area, placing it right here. And so now I get to choose, do I want one of these 2 here, or do I want to draw 1 from the bag blindly? Now I don't have any of the red apples growing in my orchard at the moment. There is a harvest coming up here, but it doesn't look like I'm going to get many red apples to even make it worth it. So I think what I'm going to do is draw blindly. And so the tile we get, oh, right, is one of those green fruits. So that worked out well. Now the question is, where do I want to place it? It's going to cost me 7 to place it, which is a lot. Oh, that's tough. Now I want to think ahead here, right? So this one here also has one of those green fruits. So I definitely want to consider being able to place this one, because that's the next spot that I'll go to. I'll be able to take this one. And I will get a harvest here. I'm only going to gain 1 honey from this harvest. I'm going to need a total of 15 honey to get both of these tiles out if I can. So if I get 1 from this one, I'll have enough honey, but then I'm going to run out of honey. So I have to be really careful with this. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this one here. So it's going to connect there. Well, I have to pay 7, right? So the 7's gone. But the 7 connects with this 2, so I will get 2 honey back from that placement. I hope that's worth it. Now we're going to move on to this brown harvest here. And so this brown harvest, we count all our brown fruit in each of their areas. We only have 1 area, and an area can be just 1 tile. So this one here has 2 of the brown fruit. We take that amount, 2, minus the die value, and that's how much honey we get. So I gain 1 honey here. And we move on to this spot here, and we're ready for our next turn. So I'm really wanting this one, because if I place it right here, I will gain a lot of my honey back from placement, and then I will have 4 of those green fruits together for this harvest right here. So I really want that. So that's the placement I'm going to do. But first, you always have to remember that you have to pay for it before you place it. So you have to make sure you have enough money for it. And so there's my 8 that I'm going to pay. But after placing it here, I connected an 8 and a 7. So I will gain 7 honey back. And so it still keeps me with some money to work with. So now we move on to this first harvest here with this dark green apple here. And I only have 1. So you subtract that from the die and I get nothing. Okay, moving on to this other green apple. I have 4 minus the 1. So I will get 3 more honey, and that's really good. And so we move on to our next space for our turn. And so we want to look ahead at these next few harvests and see what we can work towards. So I already have 1 yellow apple here, and so yellow's up here. So I could get some yellows and get ahead on that. I do like this one here. This one gives me another brown and a yellow, and it starts pinks, and it also gives me 9. Ooh. But see here, if I place this one here, right, and line it up like this, then I won't connect this 7 to anything. But I do have the potential of connecting the 7 and 9 to one thing later. So let's see, should I do that? I do like this idea. I think I'm going to go with that. So it costs me 9, right? So, and then I'm going to place it here, and it connects with the 8. So the 9 with an 8, the 8 is the lower one, so I get most of my honey right back. That was great. Now we move on to the red apple harvest, and I don't have any red apples. All right, so we just skip that and keep going. And so my options aren't like the best here. And so I can choose this apple here, which is going to score me some extra points during the harvest, or this one has a blossom and it costs less. But however, if I buy this one right now, which is going to cost me 9, and then I place it right here, lining up this 9 with that 9, and then I get the 9 right back. So it really works. Now I'm going to take a moment and talk about some of the final scoring, because this is going to help you understand some of the placement that you need to do. So the scoring that you're going to have is you're going to do one final harvest, basically. And so you'll add up your total of each type of fruit in each of their areas and subtract 3 from it. And then you place that total here on each of these. And then you'll add that all up together and you'll times it by 2, and that's your score. So you can score some really good points here. And then depending on how many score during that final harvest, so if 4 different fruits score during that harvest, you'll gain 4 points. If 5, then 11 points. If 6, then 21 points. If 7, then 35 points. And then you'll gain all your blossoms and any leftover honey, and that'll be your score. So you definitely want to build some big areas. You definitely want to aim for at least 4, maybe 5 different fruit if you can. I mean, I haven't been able to do 7 yet, but you definitely want to work on that. So keep that in mind. All right, so we move on to the pink harvest here. Now I only have 1 pink apple here, and so I don't get anything for that. We have the orange one here, and I don't have any orange ones, so nothing there. And we move on to this space. I really like this one here with the yellow and the 2 green, but it costs 10, and the only place I can really place it is right here, because it'll connect the yellow here and the green here. It might be worth it, because if I connect the 10 to this 9 here, I only lose 1 honey effectively, because I have enough to buy it. I can spend the 10 here. And so maybe that's what I should do, because we're going into the yellow harvest anyways, so I'll get some honey back that way. So we'll spend the 10, and then we gain back 9, which effectively loses me 1. And we'll place this one here. And so that was a pretty good placement, because now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 green in an area. See, they're all connected here. And then I have 1, 2, 3 yellows connected. So I have some good areas going here, but it's only 3 kinds of fruit in those areas. I need to get some more of different kinds. Well, we're moving on to the yellow apple harvest with a 3 minus a 1. That's going to gain me 2 honey. And then we move on to our next turn. I don't know if I like any of those choices. I guess I could consider getting the orange ones. That way I can work towards oranges, because there's a couple oranges around here. But I kind of want to put them where the brown are, don't I? Because of this one here, if I take this one. Maybe I should take that orange one and connect it up here. I don't know. I don't know what's the right call here. All right, so I'm going to draw blindly. That's That's the way it goes, and let's see what we get. Oh, not too bad. Another yellow and a green. That actually could work really well in my favor. It's going to cost 7. Now, again, if I decided I didn't want this tile, I could keep it on the pasture side and gain 2 honey. But I think I will place it. It cost me 7. I'll place it right here. And then I gain the 7 back because the 7 and 10 match up, so I'll gain these right back. All right, so we move on to this space here, and now we are increasing the die to 2. And so that's going to affect our harvest. We'll have to subtract 2 rather than 1. And now we have our choices again, and this one is so tempting, isn't it? Getting those 2 browns, especially with a brown harvest coming up. Yeah, I really want this. So this is going to cost me 6. So these here, I will place it right here, and I guess it'll have to go this way, unless I turn this around. If I turn this around, I'm going to be left with less money to use. I don't know if that's worth it. I think I'll place it right here, because that way the 6 and the 9 match up, and I'll gain my 6 right back. And so now you see when I move the die that I only have 1 tile to choose from. So at this point, we're going to draw 7 tiles and place them all the way around. So you just place them randomly, like so. And now this one has 3 tiles to choose from, and 1 here. Oh, I don't like these choices either. I really don't. I don't know if I want any of these. So I think I'm going to draw blindly again. This is probably the most blind draws I've done in a game yet. Oh, that's not exactly what I wanted, but it could be worse. So it only cost me 4. And the placement on this is going to be a little tricky because I think I should place it right here like this. Because if I place it here, then the brown matches up with these browns here, and this green matches up with these greens here. I think that was the right call. I don't have a lot of blossoms either, so I'm going to be running low on those points. But now we move this into the center area here. I will only gain 1 honey because 1 is shown there. Since there are 2 tiles, we don't draw 1 here. I think I am okay taking this one though. So I will spend the 3 for this one, but I'm going to make it easy on myself and place it right here, gaining that 3 right back. And one of the reasons why I chose this one is because it has 3 blossoms on it, and I got my money back. So it didn't hurt me to place it. And on top of that, it puts a 3 aiming this way, with a 7 aiming here. If I time everything right, I could get a good bonus there. So now we move on to the brown harvest, and we've got a lot. We got 2, 4, 6, 8, minus 2. So I'm going to get 6 honey. Wow, that was a good harvest. And we move to our next turn here. And I kind of want this one, this pink one. We haven't started pink yet, but there's another 2 pink here, and that can add up really well. So I will gain this one here. It's going to cost me 5. I will place it right here, so the 4 and the 5 match up here. So I will gain 4 back. I'll swap this out here. And that wasn't too bad. I still have 14 to play with here. And so now we move to the dark green apple harvest. I only have 1, so I'm not going to get anything. But now we have the other green apple. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh man, that is great. So I gain another 6, 8 minus the 2 on the die. Moving on to the next turn here. And I definitely want to go with this one here. I could also pick up this one, but I don't think it's worth it. I'll go with this one here. It's going to cost me 6. And let's see, where should I place it? I guess right here. That way this 6 matches up with this 4 here, and I will gain 4 back. So that was a good play. I'm really feeling good about this one. I know it doesn't seem like I have a lot of points, but you'll see how they add up at the end. And then we move on to the red apple harvest. I'm not getting anything for that. And it's our next turn. Now I really like this one. I don't know if the payoff's going to be good because it's going to cost me 10. I will spend the 10 for that. I get to place it right here. Again, trying to match up those yellows because that'll give me a lot of yellows. And the 10 matches up with the 7, so I will gain 7 honey back here. I might be able to do this without any pasture tiles. We'll see. That would be a first. And then we move to the pink harvest. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 here. So we do 4 minus 2, gaining 2. I have another pink here. There's a separate area because that pink isn't tied to those there. But that won't score because it's not more than 2. And we move to the orange here. I still don't have any orange on the board, and we're ready for our next turn. And so I'm looking at some of these tiles here, wondering if I'm going to be able to score big. And I think what I want to do is I want to buy this one here for multiple reasons. First, it's got a blossom on it, all right? It's got a 6, and if I pay for it, lining it up right here, it'll line up with the yellows, and I'll gain my 6 right back. So that'll be great. And now we move straight on to the yellow harvest. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, if I'm counting that correctly. I'm really tired, so my eyes are going cross-eyed right now. Yes, 7 minus 2, so that's going to grant us another 5. And now for our next turn, we have 1 tile here and 3 here to choose from. And so with these final tiles, we're really looking to make some areas that are going to score for endgame scoring. Of course, you want to have those areas to be more than 3 because you subtract 3 from those totals. And so I definitely like the idea of this pink one here. I think that's a good one. I don't know where I'm going to place it though. I guess I could place it up here. Actually, I could place it here. There we go. Let's take this pink one. It's going to add the yellow as well. Oh, but the pink's not going to line up here. Ooh, that's not good. But if I place it here, I lose out on scoring that 10. You know what? Let's just do it. All right, so that cost me 5, but the 6 and the 5 line up here, and it's going to gain me 5 back. Moving on to the next space. So I don't think I'm gonna leave without pastures, because here's the thing. If I buy any tiles for these 2 spaces, there's no honey bonuses to line up. All of these don't have any bonuses on those sides. And so it may not be worth buying that tile unless it gives me enough points or blossoms to make it worthwhile. And I don't think that's the case. So for this turn, I will take this one here, turn it over to the pasture side, and gain 2 honey for that. So I gain more points anyways, and I think that's a better choice. And then we move on to the next turn here. And I like this one for this spot up here. So let's do that. It's not going to help any of my bonuses or my harvest because these will all be separated, but I gained so many points. So it cost me 9. I'm not even going to factor these in here. So it cost me 9 and I gain a total of 13. So that's an extra 4. We'll swap this out for 5. Actually, at this point, we can swap these out for 20. There we go. And so we move into this spot here, and this will give us 2 honey. I did forget to turn this to a 3. You're probably like, hey, didn't you need to turn that to a 3? And we do have to add 1 tile to this area to choose from. We'll see what it is. That's kind of tempting, you know, with the 3 blossoms, but it's still not worth it because I don't get any honey bonus, so it's kind of a wash. I spend 3 points to gain 3 points. So it's better if I just turn this over and make it a pasture. And that will also gain me 2 extra honey there. All right, so our orchard's done. We've grown everything, and we're gonna go on to final scoring. And so we do the final harvest for everything, right? And so we start off with the brown ones. We have 2, 4, 6, 8. 8 minus 3 is going to give us 5. That's not bad. The dark green apples only have 1 and 1 minus 3. You don't get negative, so you just cross that out. The next one here, the other green, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so minus 3, that gives us another 5. Remember, these are going to be doubled later, so this is really good. Now, I don't get anything for that green apple either. Next up is red. They're 1 each and they're 2 different areas, and so I'll get nothing there. The pink, we have 1 here, so nothing for that, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minus 3 gives us 2. The orange, we only have 1 there, so nothing, and then the yellow. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? Looks like that's correct. Once again, that gives us 5 here. So we have a total of 17, doubling that to 34. That is really good. And so now we look at how many of these scored. We had 1, 2, 3, 4 scored. And so we get the lowest value here, and that's just a bonus 4 points. Then we look at our blossoms here, and so I just go by column. So we got 3, 6, 7, and 8, 9, 10, looks like. All right, not too bad. And then we have a whole bunch of honey here. So we have 5, 10, 12, 32. Wow, this is going to be an awesome score. Check this out. All right, 38, 48, 80. Whoa, blew that 65 target out of the water. And so it happens that it says, if you even collect 80 honey, this can be rated as an outstanding result. So there we go. I am an outstanding player. All right, so there you go. That was the tutorial solo playthrough of Applejack by Uwe Rosenburg and Stronghold Games. This is currently available in a lot of the online retailers. There's also a campaign that you can do where you play 4 consecutive games. You also keep one of the tree tiles and you place it in that third spot in the harvest and do some other things. I have not done the campaign, but it's something else that you can do to play the game. It's similar to, his other type of campaigns where you just do multiple games in a row. But definitely let me know in the comments below what you think of this game. Feel free to point out any rules errors I may have made. Please also like and subscribe to this channel if you like the content you see here. And if you'd like to support me on Patreon, I have a link in the description. And I thank everyone who has supported me thus far. And I thank you very much for joining me on Tabletop for One. Have a great night.